Hello and welcome to Truth Be Told. My name is Reverend Ryan, and we are Soul Evolution Collaborative, a nonprofit based in universal spiritual principles offering possibilities for navigating the evolution of life in an authentic and intentional way. And like I said, this is Truth Be Told 2.0, and this is our weekly series that we're trying to kind of change the norms and bring you inspiring and uplifting messages and maybe a way to look at life a little bit differently. And so this month we have been talking about passion, and today we're talking about using your passion. Now we talked about discovering it and living from our passion and then using our passion. And we kind of also hit the month off talking about like what actually is passion. So today we're going to talk about using your passion. And this is how can we actually begin to activate that passion within us, whether it is that feeling of passion or it's the things that we are passionate about, those people, those events, those experiences of life that we are passionate about. How can we actually begin to live them in a way that not only transforms our own life, but actually impacts the world around us? Because that's what we're here for, right? To begin to move in ways that not only change our own lives, but change the world around us. And so we have a special guest, Reverend Chris Alexander is with me. And so we're going to begin talking about what it means to use our passion. So sit back and relax and enjoy this episode of Truth Be Told 2.0. Hello, hello. Welcome.
Oh, hello.
We got you like twice in a month. That's pretty awesome.
I know. You guys are really knowing how to do it right.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to just jump right in talking about using our passion. And I think it's been a wonderful conversation this month about it, what it means, what that word means, and how can we begin to activate it in ways that are meaningful in our lives. And so this idea of using our passion, not only using it in our own lives, but actually using it in the world, using it in our relationships, our experiences, our interaction with others, using it in ways that begin to shift systems and frameworks around us so that's not just something that is serving us. We're not like living our passion in a vacuum, but then how does that passion begin to shape us collectively? And so I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of pose the question, when you hear the word using your passion, what's kind of the initial thing that comes up for you?
Well, first of all, that's 3 words, but I guess I'll allow it today. I've been pondering this question all morning. Not all week since you asked me to be on here, but all morning, and I was just thinking about like all of the people, sort of those feel good news stories that we hear about online of like people who are really just living life to the fullest or doing the best they can at their jobs and things like that. And that's really what comes to me when I think about using passion. I think we have this idea that it's like we have to go on this, self-discovery journey and like figure out what our passion is. And then we have to figure out what our job is that aligns with our passion. And then we have to go do that. And if we're not doing exactly that, then all is lost or we're not living from our passion. But I think, our we can be living from or using our passion regardless of what's going on in our day-to-day lives. So, I think about like people in the service industry who it's so obvious that people are their passion and just do their job with such gusto and oomph and just so obviously love what they're doing in this job that society has deemed whatever it has deemed, this job that we have deemed as less than as a society. And yet these people are just doing so much good in the world. I think about like I think about like the meme of the this is terrible, but the meme where it says, the gas station attendant and the weed guy have done more for humanity than any CEO ever. It's like those people who are just showing up for one another. That to me is living your passion out, regardless of what your life looks like, regardless of the resources you may or may not have at your disposal, all of that. I also think about TikTok. I know I talk about TikTok all the time, and you have to listen to me talk about TikTok. But like I think about Under the Desk News and V, who is the host of that, and like how that is just their passion, like to deliver the news in a non biased way and to just support people's peace and calm while also letting them know what's going on. Like that to me is living your passion. And, in today's day and age, with all the social media that we have and all of the resources that we have at our fingertips that don't even cost anything, it's like anybody can figure out what their passion is and then use it for the betterment of humanity or society.
And I love that. And also, I think that, using our passion is a mindset.
Yeah.
So it is this awareness of I have something, or first it starts in authenticity. It starts in really looking at what is it within us that stirs a movement? What is it within us that really is wanting to be expressed? And then beginning to create this framework and mindset of like, how can I use this thing that just has to be expressed in the world, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to actually be a thing. It can just be a way of being,
Mhm.
right? It can be like how I show up in relationships or how I show up to people and circumstances and situations. That can be living for our passion. So getting really clear about what that is, and then creating this framework. How can I use that, whatever it is, whether it's an actual thing, whether it's a gift or a talent or a uniqueness about us? How can I begin to like activate that to really impact those around me, whether it's people around me, whether it's the world, whether it's the environment around me, just collectively, how can I begin to use that? And so I think that this using our passion is a little bit of a shift of a mindset. It calls us to get really clear about those things, actually just get really clear about ourselves and be vulnerable enough to actually begin to show that. And that's sometimes a big jump, depending on who you are. And then to begin to use that authenticity, use that you-ness in the world.
Mhm.
And I think also that comes with like not buying into the shoulds and the expectations and the way you have to show up and whatever framework we've been smashed into. It is, I think, a call to like say, no, that it's comfortable and that comes natural. And that's what I've always done, but I'm going to choose rather than to be really curious about what it is, how I'm supposed to show up and what I have to offer, regardless of what box I have been previously shoved in or stepped in or been living from. And I think that also is part of this conversation about passion, because if we have these things and we're not using them, we're not activating them, then they have no power. They have no oomph to it. Beginning to look and activate, I think that's where this kind of starts, I don't know, bubbling to the surface and really being able to impact the world around us. Imagine if everyone was living from that framework, that way of thinking. Like I can't even imagine the transformation that we would see, or the outpicturing of that we would see in so many ways.
I think too, it's both directions, right? It's like you have everything you need and to show up authentically and everything you just said. And then it's also this like we don't get to sidestep our passion. Like if we're coming at it from this idea of you can always use your passion, whether you feel like you're doing exactly what you want to be doing or you've reached your ultimate goal or all of that or not, it doesn't give us that out anymore to say I'm going to choose to show up every day like using my passion, whatever it may be, I think about people like Greta Thunberg or just those people that are like, nope, this is mine to do, right? And so it kind of like doesn't let us sidestep our responsibility anymore.
Yeah,
Say,
for sure.
that everybody can use their passion every day. And
Yeah.
maybe it's in a tiny way, and maybe it's in a bigger way, and maybe that way grows, maybe it shrinks, but we still get to show up every day and do the best we can with what we have. And yeah, I think that to me, puts a lot of responsibility back on us, right? To say, okay, now that you've discovered your passion and you figured out what it means to live from your passion, now you get to use it every day. Like even when your day is going and sitting in jury duty, like maybe you do have your dream job, right? But like one day you have to go sit in jury duty. You get to figure out how to use your passion regardless of what the day may hold for you. Maybe you get pulled over by the police, or you're doing your taxes, or maybe it's your off day and you're binge watching Netflix. What does it mean to use your passion in those times when it seems like we're on autopilot? But what would it mean to get off autopilot? Maybe we don't change the things that we're doing, but we can still use our passion regardless of what the world around us looks like or what we're being asked to do in each day.
And I think that calls us to like relax into our lives a little bit.
Yeah.
Relax into that. I'm the type of person that likes like all the things, all the ducks in a row before then I can actually show up as myself or show up whatever, and so I think it calls for us to kind of relax how we approach life and even maybe relax our perspective a little bit, and getting really grounded in what is ours, and getting like that's kind of the thing that girds us, the thing that it supports us. And then the rings of our experiences of life circle around, but that thing remains true. And I think that is um, once again a lot about getting curious, a lot about pulling back the layers of those things that get in the way of us seeing the truth of who we are, the truth of our uniqueness, the truth of our authentic self, and that's different for each of us and how that shows up. And so I think this conversation calls us to peel back those layers and, just like you said, begin to get creative. Like, how can I show up this way, even though this experience or this event or this circumstance in life seems to be actively working against that thing?
Mm-hmm.
How can we begin to, and I think the more we kind of resist, like, the experiences of life, I think it creates this really bumping sort of energy. And so, like, how can we begin to relax in those spaces and allow the experiences of our lives to be what they are, but to not impact us in such a way that we are paralyzed by them. And I know that's easier said than done. And I think that is the journey. That's our journey individually. It's definitely our journey collectively, supporting each other in that framework, supporting one another. When we have this idea that we want to show up authentically and show up in our passion, regardless of our circumstances, how can I support you in that? How can we support the people that we don't even know, the people in our society, the people in our world? How can we support each other in that? And I think that's the work that is beginning to be done in this shift that we're noticing, this shift of this recognition of the inherent value of everyone, the inherent value of everyone's passion, and that everyone has a part to play, everyone has a voice. And how can we begin to incorporate all those voices? And I think then not only are we living our passion individually, but we're actually living our passion like as a like humanity,
Yeah.
as this like entity, just like this like living, moving, breathing sort of entity that we are collectively.
Yeah. I think too, it shifts our relationship to this idea of like laziness or wasting time or procrastination or I used to think like if my life wasn't perfect, if all my ducks weren't in a row, then I was like on some sort of side quest. This wasn't like actually living life. Like I'd figure it all out and then I'd start to live instead of this idea of like, no, we're living. That's just
It's
what's
all of it.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the full experience of life.
Yeah, and so, when you said we can relax a little bit into life, what came up for me is like I can stop thinking that a day that I didn't live my passion full out was like a day wasted and instead say, no, here's the little things that I did. And my life matters whether I'm, doing giant work that's going to make a huge difference in the world or whether I'm just showing up to my life and saying, like, whoa, I got through today. Either way, I'm still living life and I'm still showing up to it. And I think that's really important. And I just want to, the last thing I want to throw out is I think it's really funny that you wait to move until all your ducks are in a row because I don't think my ducks have ever been in a row at all, period, regardless of
Well,
what I've
and
been.
sometimes that can be a very limiting experience when you have to wait for the right conditions
Right.
in order to live. And I think that the takeaway for this conversation is like for all of us is we don't have to wait for the right conditions in order to live our passion. That we can begin to do that now,
Yeah.
in those little ways, in those ways that we never even thought of, those ways seen and obvious, and even those ways that are unseen. Those tiny shifts in our awareness, and then we can begin to live and move and breathe from this experience, not only transforming our own lives by living this authentic passion, but actually transforming the world around us.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for listening in on this conversation. And this whole month about passion has uh, really stirred passion within me, not only to get more curious about my own life, but get more curious about how can I actually live this passion in a way that influences and impacts others. And I hope that it has stirred the same passion within you. So if you'd like to get in deeper about this conversation of using our passion, join us for the gathering on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can go to our website and find all the information on how to sign up and receive the link for that. We have so many amazing, wonderful events coming up. So check out our website, soulrevolutioncollaborative.org. That's a mouthful. And you can see all the events. And so we hope to see you at those events. If we don't see you Thursday or any time before now, we will see you next week at this episode of Truth Be Told 2.0.